You guys, at some point on your personal development journey, okay, you're going to run into the issue of relapsing back onto your old bad habits. It could be alcohol, it could be weed, it could be porn, it could be, skipping out on your macros, it could be just stop going to the gym. You're going to relapse back onto your old habits. And so, what is a way that we can ensure that when that happens, we can actually get back on track fast? Yesterday morning, my alarm went off at 4. For those of you who are new to the channel, who don't know, I wake up around 4 a.m. every morning because this is the key to my ability to build discipline, right? As soon as you're waking up in the morning and you've woken up at an early point in the day instead of just sleeping in, you are literally just stacking a win right away. Like as soon as you wake up, you're like, okay, I'm up, I'm in the 4 a.m. club, I've just done something that's difficult that most people can't do. And so that's just stacking a win, so that carries out through the rest of your day. And so yesterday when the alarm went off, I got up, I went out because I keep my phone outside of the bedroom, right? If you're trying to wake up early, you're trying to form the habit, keep it outside of your bedroom. You don't want to keep it right next to your bed. So I go out and I'm super tired. The day before I had just lifted hard. I had just walked about 8,000 steps. I was just so exhausted. And so when I went out to the alarm, I looked at it and I had two options in that moment. The first option was to silence the alarm and go do what I needed to do, go do what I told myself I would do and what I needed to do. The second option was for me to turn it off and to get back in bed. Which one do you guys think I chose? I chose the easy option, okay? I chose the easy option and I turned it off and went back to bed. I was just so tired and so exhausted. And you guys might think, well, what's the big deal about that, bro? You're just, you're falling asleep, you're tired, your body needs the rest. The big deal is that I told myself I was gonna do something and I broke my word to myself. That's the biggest fucking problem. And if you look around in society, you notice this is happening like on a mass scale. And that's why we have so many men out here who are still fat. We have so many men out here who are still addicted. We have so many men out here who are still broke. And the reason is because we don't keep our word to ourselves every day about, when it comes to taking the actions necessary to reach our higher self. We don't actually follow through. We say, oh yeah, you know what, this year I'm gonna get in shape. I see all these guys a lot of times at the gym or just out in public, it's like they've been training, that they want to get in shape, and yet they don't do jack shit about it. They just talk shit and they don't actually take action and move towards becoming the highest version of themselves because they're not able to hold their word to themselves on a daily basis. And so that's why it's a big deal, because if you break your word on one thing, that's going to transfer over to a lot of other areas of your life because that's a mindset. And it also sets a negative tone for the day. When I don't wake up at 4, and I say I'm going to wake up at 4 because that's what I told myself I'm going to do, the problem with me not doing it is that I wake up immediately with a loss, right? It's like I'm supposed to wake up on time. I don't, and now I've just lost. I've lost the game, and you don't want to set that tone for the day, right? You don't want that to be the way you set the tone for the day, because you carry that negative energy and that lower vibrational state throughout the rest of your day. And so it's not that you have to necessarily get up at 4 a.m. Okay, the idea is that you choose a time of day that is hard for you to get up as a man, and instead of sleeping in like a little bitch every single day and like waiting till 8 o'clock to wake up and then rush to work, or 7:30 to wake up and then rush to work at 8, you actually are disciplined enough to wake up at a time that's difficult for you to stack that immediate win. And when you start to do that, it starts to build the mindset that will then allow you to stay consistent and disciplined with your other habits throughout your day. And so that's why it's important to do that. But when I took the easy option out and when I went back to bed, as soon as I woke up, I just felt regret. Okay, I felt regret because every morning I post on my Instagram to keep myself accountable and for, our team to stay accountable to leveling themselves up. And I missed the post. I missed the post. Okay, and there's, as you start to level up, as you start to become more aware and conscious of your daily habits, and you start to get more disciplined, it actually hurts when you relapse. It really does hurt, okay? And I'm not even talking about relapse in terms of like alcohol or porn or anything like that. I'm just talking about relapse in terms of my old daily habit of sleeping in every day as late as I could because I was a lazy, piece of shit, basically. And the reality situation is I just felt so kind of like, it's almost like a disgust with yourself over the fact that you broke your word. And that's exactly what you want. Some people may go, oh, that's not really healthy, bro. That's kind of toxic. Bro, look at what happens in society when men do not hold their own word to themselves. Look at what we live in. Look at just walk outside and look at the men around you. 9 out of 10 of them are just completely it's hard to even call them men. It's like they're not even working on themselves at all. They don't push themselves in any area. They're just complacent. They're just straight up bitches. They don't even have a concept of a higher vision of themselves that they're working towards. They're just so complacent and just fine with that. Yo, just stay here. It's good enough. And so that's why it's an issue, okay? That's why it's an issue, and that's why you need to focus on becoming that highest version of yourself. Because if you want to become a guy who's above average, okay, if you don't want to just be, someone who hasn't lived out their potential, then you have to push yourself. And if you don't hold your word to yourself, if you can't hold your word to yourself, it's never going to happen. And so this is all part of the training. So I felt regret. I felt a bit ashamed of it. And so I just wanted to come on here and give you guys some tips, like what you can do and what's worked for me to kind of get back on track when you have a moment like that. So for example, for you, it could be maybe you haven't gotten to that point where you're still struggling with porn, alcohol, weed. I've gotten over all those things at this point, okay? So when I say relapse, for me, typically, it means something like, not waking up on time. It means something like skipping out on my workouts. It means something like that. But everyone's at different levels. And so you may be at the level right now where you're still fighting addictions. You're still fighting devices. You're still trying to fight, porn. You're still trying to fight weed. You're still trying to fight alcohol and smoking and all this junk food and shit, right? Or overeating of junk food. And so what you can do is you set a goal for yourself, right? Every day, I'm going to act like this. These are the actions I'm going to take. And when you get to that point and you've actually started making some progress, you're going to find at some point, almost everyone is going to find at some point they will fail. You're going to fail. Something's going to come up. Life is going to get in your way. Some unexpected event's going to happen. You might get sick. Something's going to happen that's going to cause you to relapse and go back to your old way of life, which is essentially your old self, if you think about it. It's your old self. So the way to get back on is, one, to understand that you're a human being, right? You're a human being. These things are going to happen, and you have to accept the fact that it happened, first of all, okay? Accept the fact that it hurts and that it's upsetting, and then move on. You can't sit there in self-pity for the rest of the fucking day and just be a little bitch about it. You have to accept the fact that you messed up. You messed up, okay? But that happens, bro. Like, it happens. We're human beings. We live in a world that's so chaotic. You don't know what's going to come at you. So you have to accept that you failed, take responsibility, and then get up. The next thing you need to do is you need to think in your mind and write down. This is why I don't have it on me right now, but I have a little journal that I reflect in every day on the previous day's habits, okay? And kind of what went wrong, what went right, so that I can actually implement that on the next day. So what you need to do is you need to sit down and think and write out what caused you to relapse. What was it that caused you to relapse? What was that thing? Because there's almost always something, right? It was either a distraction. Maybe you're watching TV too late. Maybe you were scrolling on social media for too long. Maybe you saw something on social media that then triggered you to go watch porn. Maybe you went to a party and everyone was pressuring you into drinking, so you started doing that. Or old friends who wanted you to smoke weed with them, and so then you just kind of you lost your frame and you just went and did that. Like, there's always something that triggers you to do a negative habit when you're trying to get away from it. So figure out what that is so that you can actually mitigate it. The biggest mistake that I see, and the biggest mistake I've encountered, is that you don't reflect on what went wrong. You just go, oh yeah, that was my bad. Yeah. Hopefully next time it'll go better. That's so stupid. You need to actually reflect on what went wrong so that you can fix it in the future and avoid the same thing. That's like insanity. If you just go and try to live your day and just hope it doesn't happen again, that's insanity. You need to reflect and figure out what was that trigger, what was it, and then you can structure your day in such a way through a routine and through habits that doesn't ever happen again, or it's very rare to happen. The last step, okay, is take some time to just recenter, and this is why I really like doing meditation at some point in the middle of the day or whatever, just to get you kind of centered back into your awareness and consciousness. But recenter yourself and go hard on the rest of your habits for the rest of the day and just stack wins, okay? Because what happens for a lot of you, and for what's happened to me before too, is you fail on one of your habits, right? Let's say you're having a nice day, you're hitting your workouts, you're eating right, you're hitting your macros, and then something comes up and you start drinking. Okay, now you feel so bad about yourself, you feel ashamed. Now you're gonna start doing all the other instant gratification habits. Now maybe you go out like, oh fuck it, I had one, I'm just gonna go have another one, and then you start eating a bunch of food that's not in alignment with your macros. Then you start getting more fat, and then you're like, oh well fuck it, now I feel bad about that, and so maybe you go start watching porn or watching TV or whatever it is to ease that pain as like a painkiller, right? So don't do that. Don't fucking do that, because you're just gonna go down a literal spiral of negativity, in a spiral of just lowering your vibrational state and how you feel and view yourself. So instead, what you can do is you mess up on one habit. Okay, you recognize that, you reflect upon it. Now you just go hard on all your other habits. Now you just go, okay, I'm gonna hit the fucking gym today. I'm gonna hit my macros. I'm not gonna do I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna smoke. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna lock in for the rest of the day and make sure that every other thing I need to do is complete. And then the next day, you just go hard again. So it's like a recovery, right? So you just keep going on that day. Just go hard on all your daily habits that you need to get done. That's in alignment with your goals. And then the next day, you just repeat and make sure you don't make that same mistake. Okay? You do not want to make the same mistake 2 days in a row. Because what happens when it comes to these habits, and why I'm so on daily habits when it comes to your improvement of mental, physical, spiritual, the daily habits create neural pathways inside your brain. And the more, like, if you do things at the same time every day, over and over and over and over again, that creates a neural pathway. And so you do not want to do the same negative habit 2 days in a row. You do not want to do that. Like, if you've been hitting, so for me, like, for example, I've been hitting my wake up at 4. I do not, if I miss it on one day, the next day I have to get up at 4. Because if I let it go another day, I've just reinforced that negative behavior. I've just reinforced that neural pathway that tells me, oh, it's not a big deal, bro. It's fine. Like, earlier this year, when I was trying to get into this way of waking up early and really getting the day just started early through discipline, it was really difficult, and it was because I would let 2 days lapse. So I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna sleep in, and that's fine for today. And then the next day I'd be like, oh well, I don't really need to get up. It's not that important, right? Like, that's just some bitch mindset, some stupid shit that I was stuck in for a little while. And I realized if you are going to be in the middle, okay, it's never gonna work. You have to be extreme. And a lot of people will say, oh, be balanced, bro, be balanced. There's no such thing as balance when you want massive success. Okay, if you just want to be a fucking average, fat, mediocre guy in the United States that you just see walking around, go ahead, bro. But if you want to have massive success, if you really want to fucking make this shit work, especially while you're young, you have to be willing to make massive sacrifices. There's no other way. There's no other way. If you do what everybody else is doing around you, what the hell do you think is going to happen to you? You're going to end up just like them. You're going to end up just like them. And if that's fine with you, okay, then go pursue that path. But I assume that you're here on this channel to reach a higher level of yourself and reach your highest potential in all areas. And we cannot do that when we allow ourselves to just be slack, just be lax on the habits that we need to perform on a daily basis. You can't. You have to be extreme. You have to hold yourself to such a high standard that it almost feels unfair. You look around you and you see all these other men, they're just walking around, they're still fat, you see what they're eating, and you're like, why am I working so hard, bro? Because you're not like them. You want to become the best. You want to be the best of the best. You want to be elite, okay? And if you want to be the best of the best, that requires you to do things that other people are not willing to do. Okay, if you want to reach the highest version of you, you're going to have to put in massive action. You're going to have to make massive sacrifice, because all the people at the top, that's exactly what they've done. They haven't just been like, oh yeah, I just happened to get here. No, it was very intentional. It was very focused, and they had to cut out a lot of bullshit along the way. So for you, it's no different for you. It's no different for me, right? It's no different for us. So we just have to continue on the grind, and that's really what it's about. So take those 3 lessons. Once you do relapse, just apply those strategies, apply those mindsets, so that when you relapse, you can just hop right back on and just keep going with your daily habits as if this never even happened. Acknowledge it, reflect upon it, and continue to crush your daily habits. And then make sure that next day you do not repeat that bad habit, because if you do, it will start to get locked into your mind, right? It'll start to form that neural pathway, and it'll start to become a behavior that your brain seeks out so that it can get that dopamine spike. So do not fucking let that happen. As always, you guys, remember, every day is an opportunity either for you to become the highest version of yourself and be an example of everything that a man can be, or for you to fall to your lower self, right? And to be an example of everything a man shouldn't be. The choice is up to you.